Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start off this video by saying thank you so much for all of this abrupt support that has been given, considering my channel has only been live for about a month and a half-ish. So thank you. I really appreciate it, even if it's minimal to someone on the outside. For me, I see it as a lot, and I'm very, very grateful thus far. And this has been such a great experience for me, and I'm so grateful that I'm even able to take the time to do this, because some people don't have that privilege, and I'm just very grateful for that. I wanted to make this video about things that I wish I knew. Pardon, maybe I should. I look back at my 20s, me now being almost 32, and there's things that I wish I was a little bit more educated on because, oh my goodness, when you get in your 30s, your whole mindset just like a lot of things change, especially when you become a parent. And for me, once I became a parent at an early age, I've said this in my previous video, I was very young. It was hard. I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know how to be a mom. I mean, yes, you can say being a mom is like just care for somebody else, but literally being a mom in this day and age is, it feels like you have to stop your whole entire life just to be a mom. And it's hard. And it's been very hard for me over the last 12, almost 13 years. I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about the world and what it's like to actually be a mom in the real world. With the world continuously changing, it's not easy. So if you had seen my poll on Instagram, I did it as kind of like an experimental thing, to see how other people feel about this. The reason I had put the certain questions on there, and the four were regulating your emotions, how to deal with the real world as an adult. What was the third one? God, my memory is so bad. I should have written this down. Putting yourself first, and the fourth one was building a community. The reason I put those four options was because I felt they resonated a lot with me personally, and those are things that I wish I was educated earlier in my life, um, because those are just things that I desire and want for myself in order to thrive. And somehow I think they all kind of connect in a way. To regulate your emotions, I think, was my number one. To put them in order, number one would be regulating my emotions. Number two would be putting myself first. Number three would be building a community. And the last one would be dealing with the real world as an adult. Which the real world got a lot of comments. That was like one of the most popular answers, like consecutively. Like a lot of people kept answering that one first before the putting yourself first, which I was kind of surprised at. But it makes me realize that we're not taught a lot of things at a young age as far as what the real world is like. I was taught to, you know, go to school, get good grades, and the basic things. You know what I mean? And then once I became a mom at such a young age, I had no idea what I was doing. And had I been maybe 14 going into high school, because, as a woman, that's like when you start menstruating, because that's when you can produce children. You know what I mean? So at that point, I feel like you should know what is going on in the real world. I wish I had known what's going on in the real world to know how to raise a child. I'm not saying that that's what you should be doing at a young age, but to have that information and be like, okay, 14-year-old Chrissy, if you were to have a baby at 19, this is what you should expect. Yes, times will change throughout your teenage years, but this is kind of what you should expect as a young mom. I was not educated on that at all. Um, and not to say that I'm ashamed that I failed a lot of times, but it's difficult to like look back at my life sometimes and be like, wow, only if someone hadn't just told me like this is what you should expect, Chrissy. At as a young girl, you should know what to expect. Only because for me, I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on like once you become a mother, what you have to give. Men as well, but that's a different topic. I'm not a man. I don't know what it feels like to be a man as a parent. I'm just speaking from me. As a young girl, I wish someone had told me, Chrissy, if this is the decision that you happen to make as a young girl, this is what you should expect. And then from there, I could say, this is probably not a decision that I want to make. Or I would still make it thinking whatever I can go against the odds or whatever that may be. But had I given a background perspective on what actually it is like to be a mother at a young age, I probably would have made a different decision. And not to say that I do, like, I regret my children. I do not. You just, once you have more of different perspectives of what it's like, you might change your mind. So to deal with the real world and to be a mom at a young age is hard. And it's been very hard for me. And I want any mom to know that if you're watching this, it's gonna be okay. You just need to put yourself first. That's why I also put that in the poll. Because I've struggled even as a mom to put myself first. And then when I have put myself first, I've been looked down on for putting myself first. So, had I known how to regulate my emotions, I would have had the ability to put myself first because my emotions were regulated. I would have been able to, you know, figure out what's wrong, what's going to actually help lift me regardless of my emotion at that time. Um, being a mom and all. So being able to regulate my emotions would have been able to help me put myself first. Had I put myself first a lot of the times when I was younger, um, I probably would have been able to see how to build a community for myself because I look at the way that my life is now, and a lot of the reason that I've put myself out there now on this channel is because I think community is so important. I truly do. And I was actually kind of disappointed, but not surprised that there was only 2 votes on that question, or pardon, that answer. There was only 2 votes on that answer to build a community. And I don't know these people personally to the extreme, but when I saw the people that voted, I said, wow, I think I know what they're feeling when they voted that. Because when I feel that way, it's because you want to be, and when I say community, maybe people think like, I don't know what people think, but when I say community, it's more of like people that you can turn to, people that, if something happens to you or your partner, your kid's mom or your kid's dad, you have these people, multiple people to rely on. Like that should be a thing. That should be a thing. And that's what I mean by building a community. I don't know if people really knew what I meant by that. I just think it's so important, extremely important to have a community, especially with the way that the world is. How are you going to deal with the real world if you don't have a community? If you don't have other perspectives of the world? That's my thought process and why I put those answers in there. If you don't, my personal experience, it's been hard for me to deal with the real world because I don't have a solid community. Having a solid community probably would have helped me deal with the real world better. You know, take out not having take out not having a community and not putting myself first and not regulating my emotions. All those three things. How am I supposed to know how to deal with the real world? How am I supposed to know? Yes, everybody's experience is going to be different, of course, but doesn't it help to have those people to be there for you? You're just supposed to guess the whole way through. Yes, it's always going to be a trial and error, but when you're going through life and you have other perspectives and other people's experiences, the ride seems a little bit more smoother rather than when you have none of these things to help you deal with the real world. None of these. So if I can't regulate my emotions, that means I'm I'm going off whatever I'm feeling at the moment. Therefore, it's not going to help me deal with the real world. Real world is, making my money, supporting my family, and being a, a benefit to society. If I can't regulate my emotions, how can I do any of those things? How can I do any of those things? I can't. So I need to put myself first more in order to regulate my emotions and vice versa. Regulate my emotions to put myself first. That way I can build a community to deal with the real world. And that's why dealing with the real world comes last for me. Um, because had I not done all those things first, dealing with the real world would have probably been a little bit easier for me. Um, no regret in the way that my life has turned out. Um, Today I went to the car wash with my son, his request, um, and I felt extremely grateful to just be going to the car wash on a Tuesday afternoon with my son because he just asked simply. I am so truly grateful to be able to do that. I am hoping that any mom that watches this, any woman that watches this, um, man or father, you should know that you're not alone in a lot of things as far as how to navigate to be the best version of yourself. It's not easy, it's very difficult. Maybe this will help you in some way. Getting around the right people really helps. Really helps. Because this actually brings me to story time because I saw this status on Facebook of some young guy talking about, and I just laugh because it's It's whatever. I don't care what other people do with their lives. I truly don't. I don't care. Do whatever you want with your life. Um, his status was, would you allow your partner, man, husband to cheat if he is, paying all the bills? And it really rattled my brain a little bit. It really rattled my brain a little bit. But these are the kind of things that I'm talking about. And one of the comments that I ended up saying to him in this conversation, because I did end up commenting on his status, was that he needs to get around more successful women, more successful men, in order to answer that question on his own instead of doing a poll about it or a status, whatever it was. Because people look at that kind of thing very differently. My opinion on it is I do not need to deceive anyone in order to get what I want, because I can get what I want by just being myself. I don't need to deceive and lie and cheat to get what I want. Um, Again, people look at cheating very differently. That's not a conversation that we're going to have in this video. But again, dealing with the real world is dealing with the right people that fit who you want to be. It obviously looks different for everyone else. So, me, this is a way for me to hold myself accountable. And whew, I'm actually so proud of myself because this is video 8 and I'm actually consistently doing this. I'm consistently doing this and it feels good and I feel happy, happy that I'm letting things out so that someone else who is watching this knows and resonates that whatever you're thinking is not a crazy thought. And a lot of people can relate to you. And I wasn't going to do the poll at first on IG, but I did it just to get that feeling of, okay, how many people can actually resonate with this? Whether or not people resonated, I was still going to do the video the way I did it. But how I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to start regulating my emotions a lot better. Because when I don't regulate my emotions, I don't put myself first. I don't. I don't put myself first. I lack in that area a ton when I don't regulate my emotions. So, in order to regulate my emotions, I need to hold myself accountable. And I've been writing some things down in my journal, in my little notebook here too for my YouTube channel, but this is a way to hold myself accountable so I can put myself first in order to build my community so I can deal with the real world. I hope this really reaches you and helps you in some way because you are deserving of the life that you want, the life that you need, the people that you need. This life is not easy. So make sure you're around the best people that really know what they're doing. And when I say know what they're doing, I mean actually going in the right direction to help people and be there for people. Help themselves, help their children. If you can't do any of those things, what are you actually doing? That's how I want to live my life. If I can't help any of the above, I hope this reaches you. I'll see you guys in the next video.